Hello, hello. I'm so happy today to have Shubh Mehta and Akshat Shah, the co founders of Changes Us. So I'm really excited, guys, to talk to you because you are a bunch of really driven youngsters, and it always excites us when we see people do things from a place of passion and wanting to really bring change. And I guess the name shows that. So thank you so much joining me today and agreeing to be on the show.
Thanks, Ved. Thanks for
Okay,
inviting
thank you so
us.
much. Yeah, thank you so
I know
much,
that
Ved.
you guys are still kind of pursuing education and learning, and of course, but along with that, you're doing so much contribution through your cleanup drives and all the things that we are going to dive into as we speak. But where I want to start is your individual personal journeys, and in particular, tell me things that influenced you as you were growing up that led you to this place where you really wanted to make a difference. So, whoever wants to start, maybe we start with Akshat. You've been quieter before the call, so start
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you. We'll start with you and move to Shub. Go ahead.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Akshat Shah and I'm the co-founder of Changes Us. So for me, the journey started way back in like 2018 November. That was the first time when I came across climate change as a whole. So it started with like coming across an Instagram post, the normal post which everyone see, like a polar bear standing on a polar standing on a ice what is it, iceberg with water surrounded on all sides. So that was the first post that I saw, and it intrigued my mind that what exactly is happening to the planet. So I started digging deep. Like I started researching myself. I started following more pages that were giving me this kind of information. And then I came across Greta Thunberg's page, and I got to know that what she was doing for the planet, what uh, what she was what she wanted to do and was trying to do all across the world. And November was the time when the first global climate strike was happening. I sorry, I'm not sure with it. It may be the second global climate strike. So I saw stories and posts on Instagram where kids younger than me and my age, they were they were they were off school, they bunked school, and they had joined this huge climate strike all across the world. And they were just asking governments to take action, and asking people to like become more aware of the situation, become bring those small changes into their lifestyle, because they got to know that the world as a whole didn't have a lot of time, and climate change was actually like impacting people all across the world, and it was becoming worse day by day. So then, um, like all these activities used to build up the anxiety levels in me, and it all peaked when the Amazon rainforest fires happened in January of 2019. I still remember that. I used to like huge posts, huge stories, like big stories on Instagram explaining that what is happening to the planet and why is it, and why it is important for us to take action. That was the only way that I felt that I could make change, and I could make people aware. I knew that I knew that it would have become too repetitive for me to post, but I always believed in the hammering effect. That is you post something about, you talk about something again and again, and people will like ignore it like once or twice or thrice, but the fourth time they will take notice of it, because repetitively they are seeing a person do something, right? And so the Amazon rainforest fires happened. I wrote like stories of explaining what was happening to the lungs of the planet and what would be the consequences if the lungs of the planet went away. Um, Later on, I made myself understand that like there are certain things that are not in your control, okay, and certain things are going to happen whether you like it or not. Rather, focus on what you can do and focus on what is there in front of you. Like if there is a problem, go ahead, find a solution towards it. Okay. Um, so then I thought that what is the way that I can contribute to the entire climate movement. So the first thing that came to my mind is I changed my lifestyle because the change starts with me rather than expecting it from the world or someone out there. It all starts with me. So I got this thing that I need to make those small lifestyle changes into my life. Uh, so I started doing that, but while I was doing that, in February of 2019 was the time when I came across uh, the first time when I came across an Instagram page, which is a cleanup handle of my beach cleanup. Okay, and before that, I had heard Afro Shah's name, but I never knew that he was cleaning the Warsaw beach. So February 18 was the 19 was the time when I came across the concept of beach cleanup as a whole through my beach cleanups page. And then I came across more pages like Afro Shah's page and Manar Kalambe's page, which is Beach Please India, like his initiative. So then I thought that this is a very good way of motivate of bringing people to the movement, making them aware of the situation, and at the same time making my contribution to the entire movement. So I thought that okay, let's do it. I did some research and there was nothing like this happening at the Girgaon Chowpatty beach. So I thought that yes, this is something that I can actually do. And while doing this, it was like I was making my contribution also to the entire movement. So that was the time when I was in 12th. So I had my board exams coming, I had my entrances coming because I was pursuing engineering. So everything got over in May, and then I took a family trip to Uttarakhand. And after coming back from the trip, okay, I just thought that I need to put this in action now. Okay, so I went to the cleanup sites. I spoke to the founders that what all is required while starting a cleanup, and they said that you require a few equipments. Then it's better if you take the government's what they say permission and if you get their support. So I asked them that did you get the necessary BMC support? So they were like, we didn't receive support from the BMC. Like they weren't that receptive to the entire idea of starting a cleanup. And mind it, I'd gone to Mine Beach and I'd gone to Beach Please. So these two come under the same board. Like the area, it comes under the same board. So I was like, okay. Uh, I went there. I went there like three times, and after that, I took this idea in front of Shubh, and like there were three more friends along with me, with whom I used to share everything that I was doing and what was happening to me. And they were like all three were my school friends, and I'd met Shubh in my junior college. So I took this idea in front of Shubh that Shubh, I want to start a cleanup at the Gilgaon Chowpatty beach. So, so what should I do? Like, how should I go about it and stuff? So I just shared an overview. So then we thought that we should go to the D ward and we should talk about like we should directly approach it. And I spoke this I spoke about this to my dad as well. This entire idea of starting a cleanup and um, like they were very receptive towards the entire idea of me starting a cleanup and me doing this uh, doing this thing of like cleaning the Gilga Chowpatty beach every weekend. So but my dad was like being having the proper Mumbai mindset that if you go to the BMC office like 4 or 5 times, after that you will probably get an appointment to talk to the ward commissioner. um, so I took his thing into into my mind, but I was like, okay, let's try. Okay, what happens? He'll tell me to come again. I'll go again. but I was very adamant that I want to start this. Even I was like, even if the BMC doesn't give me the support, it's fine. I'll start this on my own. I was very very adamant that I wanted to start this. Very determined also. So then one fine afternoon, we just went to the ward office, not doing anything. Like that was the first time when I was going to the ward office. So I directly went to the second floor. There I met the secretary of the ward officer. I spoke to him about my entire plan and stuff. Like, it's this that I'm a college going kid. I want to start this cleanup at the beach, and I'd come to speak to the ward officer about the same. So he got all excited and stuff that I'm a an 18, 19-year-old kid and I want to start something like this at the beach, like on my own. So he was like, आप बैठिए 10 मिनट मैं आपको वार्ड ऑफिसर से मिला था, and I was like very happy because this was something that I was not expecting at all. Okay, not expecting, and listening to what the previous what the organizations had spoken to had told me, like this was completely unexpected, completely. So then I entered the office. I met the ward officer. The then ward officer was Mr. Vishwas Mote. Okay, I spoke to him. I told him that I'm inspired by Afro Shah because he knew Afro Shah. So I told him that I'm inspired by Afro Shah to start this entire thing of clean up at the Kilka Party beach. And he was like, मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि आप इतने यंग हो कि आप ये इनिशिएटिव ले रहे हो कि आप आपको खुद से बीच क्लीन करना है
Yeah,
तो
Akshat, could I just intervene? Could you just translate when you also speak in Hindi, because we have an audience
okay,
which is
yes, yes,
mostly
yes,
international. So yeah, but happy to have
yes,
you speak in Hindi, but just translate it. Otherwise, I'm taking notes. I'll have to translate all your.
yeah, 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 got
But
it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
do that while you're speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah, so he said that he was very happy that a person that a person like young as me, he was taking the initiative of starting something like this, like starting a cleanup at the Chopati beach on his own. So and at such a young age. So he was like, you will get all the support that you need from our side. Don't worry about that. And so then next week again, we went to the ward officer to meet him. This time me, Shubh, and my one more school friend called Karina Mystery. We three went to meet him, and that time he made us meet an officer, Mr. Sudhakar. Okay. So Mr. Sudhakar and Mr. Mote, these two were the primary people who helped us, who guided us how to start a cleanup. They gave us the first pair of 25 gloves and the first batch of buckets as well, because you need buckets which is called gamelas to put the waste inside the bucket, right, and then dispose it off at the beach. So after that, we like everything was done, all the formalities were done, everything, and we after that a week later, on 21st of July 2019, we held our first cleanup with the first 18 people. Yeah. So
That's amazing. Yeah.
that's
So of course you've answered a lot of my future questions, which is also good. But but we'll keep building on that. But thank you for that deep background. Just for the listeners, I want to clarify a few things. BMC is Mumbai Municipal Corporation. Which actually you have to take permission of, which is what Akshat mentioned. Also, he mentioned a few times the name of Afroz Shah, who's actually a lawyer from Mumbai and an activist who's done the largest cleanups, beach cleanups in the world. And I would definitely encourage the listeners to have a look at Afroz's profile. He's really taken this charge and has been doing a lot of cleanups. But yeah, Shubh, would love to hear your story. And if you want to go a little bit further back, maybe your childhood influences that guided you towards doing what you guys are doing now, and that'll be great to hear. Go ahead, Shubh.
Yes, thank you, Ved. So yeah, again, as you mentioned, I really go back in my childhood to actually dig out a story from there. So maybe I was around 4 or 5 when my grandmother used to take me to the beach, and the beach is like to like 5 minutes walking from my place. So we used to go walking with her, and we used to make sandcastles, and we weren't allowed to go inside the water because, of course, it's not very safe. But at that time, we didn't really realize how dirty the beach was. And according to some statistic, I think Kirgaon Chapati beach was one of the dirtiest beaches at one point in time in the early 2000s. So again, so that was something that we didn't realize back then. Maybe, of course, we didn't add to the waste there, but we just ignored it of sorts. And then over time, again, as we grew up, I used to go there. We used to play at the beach. We used to play football, soccer. We used to play cricket, and all the other kinds of different sports with school friends, etc. And even then we didn't really notice the dirt or the waste or the pollution that was there, because again, all of it was on the lower end of the beach, not at the front end where we usually play. So we didn't pay a lot of heed to it. But again, as coming back to Akshat's story of November 2018, we were pretty close back then, and like, of course we are today as well. We had a lot of conversation, right? And all this while we were studying for our 12th grade. And again, if people like your listeners were listening, they might know in India, if you're in the 12th grade and if you're doing PCM, you have a lot of stress because you have a lot of things to study. We both are preparing for our
Sorry,
IIT
PCM is physics, chemistry,
chemistry,
maths. Go
math. Yes.
ahead.
So yeah, we both were preparing for our IIT JEE, which was again one of the toughest exams in the world. So we didn't have a lot of time, but whatever time we did get, we used to discuss about things, how we could do things better. And of course, as Akshat mentioned, he had a bunch of pangs of anxiety in the middle, in which we used to sit down together, talk about how we can get mitigate something like this. And of course, he needed a year back then, and we all were there, as he mentioned, a bunch of his school friends as well. So we were listening, and we heard what was actually happening. And for me personally, I was the type of a person, as a child, who was very outgoing, like very extroverted. And I really like going out there, presenting on stage, talking in front of large crowds, debating, quizzing. So I liked all of those things, and I loved managing people. I liked having positions of responsibility in school as well. So I think that was one of the major influences for me personally to take up something like this, because I was really good with people. And simultaneously, I was also very inclined towards the environment, because that's what we've been taught as you know citizens of Mumbai, India, and of course, family having roots in Gujarat. We've been taught and trained to care for the environment, care for the people around us, be more empathetic towards individuals. Again, donation drives is one thing that we kept doing with Changes Us, and we keep doing that. That is also something that has been ingrained within both of us since our childhood. So I think that is something that we continued as a legacy, and something for the environment, something more active, something more youth oriented is what we brought up, with our own initiative and our ideas. So yeah, those were the influences on me personally.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I really want to talk a little more about this age, because 18, 19, the priorities can be very different. And there are few people, of course, who are very charged, and like you guys are clearly very clear on what you want to do or contributions that you want to make. But when I look at life in general, 18, 19, like you both mentioned, there is pressure of career, studies, there are friends, there is things like going out, but what makes you both sort of have different priorities? What is it in you? There has to be some burning desire, because you're, of course, any time you spend cleaning up, you're taking it away from other things, whether it's studies or friends or whatever else. You could be somewhere else. So if you dig a little bit deeper within you, and again, I'll start with you, Akshat. What is it within you that at this, well, now you're a little older, but not that much older, but what is it that within you that inspires you from within, that I want to do something more, quote unquote, meaningful? And then, yeah, after Akshat, should we move to you? Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, the main thing was, see, we have this only planet, okay, where 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 we all can live and we all can like experience life. Okay. So for me, the my biggest thing was that we need to protect what we have. Okay, like today, NASA, JPL, ISRO, JAXA, all these companies, all these space companies, they are trying to find homes at other planets like Moon and Mars. But what I feel is that not a lot of money is getting invested to find new ways of making Earth a better place. Okay, is what I feel. Yeah, and is what I personally believe. Like today, 95% of the oceans isn't explored. Only 5% of the oceans is explored. I mean, there is so much on Earth that we can explore, and we can we can get from the earth, like Amazon for forest, for example. Amazon forest is the answer for everything you need. Like it gives you air to breathe, it gives you food, it gives you medicines that can cure uh, like extremely harmful diseases, which can even what is it, decide whether you're going to live or die. Okay, so for me, it was like saving what we have, because this is the only place where we can live, and it's more like uh, if you don't save what you have, or if you don't work towards it, then you are going to lose it, and it's going to impact everyone. It's not just going to impact me, but it's going to impact everyone who will be coming after me, right? And this is not like justified, like the actions that we've done and our ancestors have done, it's not justified for our for my future generation also to suffer because of what we did, right? It's not justified at all. So this was my mindset, that whatever I can do, I should do. Okay, I know that like my contribution when it comes to the entire planet is not a lot. Okay, but at least I as an individual, I'm doing something. Okay, and I'm motivating others to do the same thing. Like it's a chain reaction. You start something, looking at you, 10 other people will start, and looking at those 10 other people, many more will start. That is how great movements are created. Okay, great like it's one person taking that initiative, getting out of his comfort zone and starting something, and because of that, many more people join that movement. They become aware, they raise that awareness, many more people join in, many more people start taking initiatives. Okay, so this is what it is, like Greta Thunberg, Mahatma Gandhi, all these people, they started great movements, and if they're not, if they're thought like this, that okay, I don't want to do it, someone else will start or someone else will do it, then I don't think so that India would have got independent as of now. Just think about it. All the Why do all the freedom fighters who are there, like who fought for our independence, if they thought that it's not my responsibility to do it, or I don't care, okay, then India wouldn't have got independent. It's because they cared for they cared for Indians, and they cared for the country, and they took that initiative, is why India is independent today. And it's written in a constitution also, okay, that all citizens of India, they have to take care of India. They have to take care of the environment, its resources, and the wildlife, irrespective of what you are, and like what you are, what gender you come from, what religion you come from, what caste creed, irrespective of all those things. It's your moral duty and responsibility. So when I was doing the cleanups, I just felt that I'm doing my duty and responsibility towards keeping my environment and towards keeping my surroundings clean. And this is what keeps me going, like making more, like making sure that each and every day when I'm going to sleep, I'm saying to myself that yes, I've contributed towards making earth better. Okay, and getting that satisfaction that yes, someday the effects of climate change will recede. the effects of the earth will become a better place to live and to yeah to live. Sorry.
No, that's beautifully put, Akshat. And I remember reading Stephen Covey at one point, and while you were speaking, I clearly got reminded of that. He says, you live in two circles. The bigger circle, like you mentioned, is the circle of concern. We can be concerned about pollution or poverty or education or corruption or violence or what have you. Um, and we can keep brewing in that, and we can keep blaming everybody else. The governments are not doing the job, the earlier generation didn't do it, the management is not right, or whatever. The administration is corrupt, or the police is like this. But within that circle of concern is also a circle of influence. And that's actually what you talked about. The question is, if I'm concerned about something, what can I do about it? And maybe I'm concerned about education, but can I teach one kid, two kids? Maybe I'm concerned about, unemployment, but can I find ways to skill people to find employment or something like that? And like you guys have done, I may be very concerned about the situation of filth around me, but what can I do about it? And they say, I don't know what your experience is, and maybe you can address it later, is that they say when you start working on your circle of influence, then your circle of concern doesn't have the kind of energy it has otherwise on you. You're kind of being brought down. But when you are actually starting to work on it, it kind of circle of influences becomes bigger. Not that your circle of concern shrinks, but your circle of influence. And you said that it's a ripple effect. There's a chain effect that happens. Others start joining, etc. But yeah, love to hear from you, Shubh. At this age, Akshat obviously has spoken way beyond what I think you guys, in terms of the number of years you guys have spent on this earth in this lifetime. But Shubh, from your perspective, why is this a priority? How did it become a priority at this age?
Yes. So again, I look at it from again two lens, right? I have one lens which is very the darker side, maybe the existential one, right? Where are we a like a multi-planetary species, or are we a single planetary species? And if we are living here, why aren't we making the best out of, as Akshat mentioned? And why aren't we taking care of the society and the planet that actually gives us so much? And the other side of it is making, so everyone's running behind trends, everyone's running behind the next cool thing, right, in our generation. But for us, making something so important cool is a priority for us, right? So making a cleanup fun and trendy for them to come in, putting up some kind of a reel or some kind of a social media post which makes people aware in a fun way is something that is a priority to us, because we understand that if we keep showing the dark side, people are going to get not like it much, right? They're going to start shunning it after a point. So to gather them into the circle of influence, as you mentioned, we have to give them a positive light. We have to show them the fun aspect of it as well. So we promote friend circles to come in for cleanups. We promote getting large groups, your family members, for cleanups. We try and make some fun activities after cleanups, like games, or having some kind of a session which encourages them to be more engaged in this activity, as well as make it a priority for themselves and the people coming forward. uh, Coming to something that you mentioned, the circle of concern and the circle of influence, I realized that as we were growing, like we've been doing this since 4.5 years, as we were growing, our circle of influence was becoming bigger. We were growing wider, but it was not going deeper. So we took a moment, we paused ourselves, we understood, we tried strategizing better. We thought, what could we do better to make sure that it's being imbibed into them. So then that's where the entire idea of doing webinars, seminars arose. We started going to schools and colleges to talk to young minds, so that they can mold themselves early on in life, and actually try and inculcate those changes at a very early age, probably, so that moving forward they don't have problems adapting to situations like we do, or probably like the earlier generation does, right? So that's where we came from, that we need to get our influence to a deeper level than just a wider level, because of course we're getting numbers, we're getting engagement, we're getting people to post stories for us, or like influencers to join us and all of that. but what's happening is we're not reaching to the heart and soul of people, and that's where we thought of doing something like this. And coming to the social life, the social angle of it, why is it a priority for us? There have been days where we've partied till like 2 a.m. and then showed up for a cleanup at 7 a.m. So it's not that we've not had our share of social life as well. But again, since this is a priority, it is fixed that Sunday mornings are put out for cleanups, and not just for us, an 80-member team that does it for us on a weekly basis. So I think that is something that we've created as a culture within our own team, and it is a part of the fabric that we're trying to encourage in the society around. So I think, yeah, that's why it is a priority.
No, that's beautiful. And I didn't ever think of it like this. And I know Akshat, you want to come in, but let me phrase this, and you can bring this also in what you were going to say. I didn't think of it like this, Shubh. I'm glad you put this across. It's a good learning. In a way, people who will turn up will be like-minded. So in a way, it's a community.
Yes.
And that's interesting. And you, of course, said that, it's not just a cleanup. It's also people connecting and maybe doing activities together, friends coming together. So it's actually a activity where people feel maybe more bonded. And I would love for you guys to address that. And also just throw light as you guys go further. I presume it must be a pretty wide age group, but connected with this common cause. And that must be very interesting as well. So whoever wants to address, I know Akshat, you wanted to say something, but yeah, go ahead.
So there is one thing that I would like to add before I address this thing is that uh, so a lot of people are aware about like various issues that are happening all on the planet, not just environment, but they don't know what to do. They want to start somewhere, but they don't know where to start from. So I believe that that cleanups, whether it be us or whether it be anywhere else, it provides people with a very good. It provides people with an option in front of them that if they have to start, this is the place where you can start. This is the place where you can start making impact, where you can start taking that first step towards like getting that small change in your lifestyle. And I believe one more thing is that see, cleanups are not sustainable if you go to see, because you are cleaning the beach, and the very same day the high tide is going to bring back the waste, and it's going to cover the entire patch of land again that you've cleaned. But when you're wearing the gloves, okay, and when you are digging the sand, removing that plastic bag or removing that garbage, emptying the sand from it, and then putting it in the bucket, going through the entire process, it makes you realize that what is the impact of what is the impact that you are creating on this planet, what is your
just
foot.
to just to chime in, I think a lot of these international curriculums, teaching India in India and abroad, have a very big aspect of experiential learning, right? And there's no better experiential learning than actually coming down to a beach and doing a cleanup, because you're actually understanding what are the types of waste that is there present, what are the things that you can avoid consuming to prevent some such kind of waste,
Yeah.
and what are the actions you can do to mitigate these kinds of risks. So I think that way it's a very good perspective for young minds, old minds of all age groups to come up and show up and learn, right? And there's no age barrier to learning. Like even an 85-year-old man has joined us for a cleanup, and even a 3-year-old has joined us for a cleanup. And that is the wide gamut of perspectives that we get at a cleanup, right? If some like a young 13, 12, 13-year-old person, he's impatient and he wants to pull a certain waste out, an old person maybe around in the 50s or 60s, like a mid-age person, can come in and give them the perspective that you'd rather dig on the sides and then pull it out. That'll be a better way to pull out the waste than to just keep you're putting in a knife and try to pull it out. So again, those are the perspectives that they get. They make friendships. We've had a lot of friendships come out of being generated out of cleanups, right? And our community, of course, right now stands at a good 25,000 volunteers till date, and that is where we've actually tried to enhance and share perspectives in different ways. And there are people who've become best friends out of cleanups. They didn't know each other, random strangers meeting and then being the best of friends today. And there are people of different. We ourselves have found great mentors who are like mid-age, around 50s and 60s, who guide us through this entire process because they are excellent in their own fields. They have been professionals since 25, 30 years in their own industries. So we've found so many perspectives. We've learned management lessons, how to manage an 80-member team from them. So again, we've got a lot out of cleanups rather than just giving that, just keeping the beach clean. We've learned so much. We've made so many connections. The network has increased. And again, that's just a wide range of emotions I'm going through right now while talking this. But again, that's the bottom line of this, that there's so much to gain out of a cleanup than just a clean beach.
Yeah, and coming back to you, Akshat, you also mentioned before, and at first, like I think you may want to add something more to what you were saying. But apart from that, I would love to hear, because you mentioned this and then you moved on, and it actually stuck in my mind, and I'm glad. I think Shubh or you said it again. Um, you said that you made lifestyle changes even before you got into cleanups, when you heard about Amazon and the challenges that the planet was facing. And I totally hear you when you say that it starts with us. And of course, the next question is going to be about the name that you guys chose. But talk to me a little more, and maybe this is something that everybody as an individual needs to imbibe. What were those changes, and how did they come about? That you really felt that these are things that I need to do.
Okay, so when I say changes, they don't have to be big. They can be very small at a personal level, on a day-to-day level. So, uh, what I feel is, from the time you wake up till the time you sleep, everything that you do is a choice, and every action that you take has some impact on yourself, on the planet, and the people around you. Okay, so uh, like when you go out, you use a straw to drink something. Now, at least now, with changing times, straws are getting replaced with paper straws, plastic straws are getting replaced with paper straws, but still it's there. So next time, I would like to ask the viewers to think about it. When you're using a straw, you use it for say 10 seconds, maybe. But think about it. A straw that you use for 10 seconds, it stays on the planet for 100 years. Okay, it's there on the planet even after you die. So then a plastic bag, for example, polythene bag, you go out for shopping, you don't carry your bag or your own bag from your home, and you take a bag from the vendor. So that bag, you can reuse it, but the impact that it has, it stays for another like 100 years, like it stays even after you die. Same thing is with the plastic bottle. So I just researched more into it, that about this entire plastic game and everything. So then I realized that these are the things that I can actually avoid in my life. Okay, and I don't need a plastic straw or a straw at all to drink something from a glass or a tin can, or say coconut, for example. I can just use my mouth to drink it, and that is essentially how uh, uh, like uh, ancient Indians used to do it, right? So same thing, like cutlery also. I used to avoid using plastic cutlery. Okay, I used to avoid using plastic bottles. I used to carry my own water bottles wherever I used to go. Whenever I used to go for shopping, I used to carry my own bag and not use a plastic bag. So these are the small changes that are inculcated in my life before the cleanup started. And obviously, after the cleanup started, uh, I made more changes into my lifestyle, essentially like using a bamboo toothbrush rather than a plastic toothbrush. Then having shorter showers, like using the traditional bucket and mug instead of going for an actual shower. And if I was using a shower at all, I was making sure that my showers were short, like say done in like 5 minutes or something, rather than staying in the shower for like say 10-15 minutes. So these are the small lifestyle changes that I've inculcated in my life, and I've I've like promoted them through
Yeah, and not just inculcated, as Akshat rightly said, just to add here, and he's not just inculcated within himself. He's actually trying to influence people around him to pick that up. And I, for as an example, have taken up a majority of whatever he's just said, right? And it's not just me, an entire team of around 60, 70 odd people, everyone trying to practice that on a daily basis. That's the chain reaction. That's the butterfly effect that's actually Akshat has started. And again,
Superb.
we're super grateful for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing that I would like to add. So if you see our Indian traditions and Indian culture, it is very sustainable and it's very good for your body as well, right? So I would just like to focus on this thing. Like, not many people will know about it. That the Indian culture is amazing. Like going back to those times and bringing those cultures back now at the present in the present modern day. It's very good for your body and it's very good for the planet as well. So yeah.
No, that is so true. And in fact, Akshat, it's not just Indian culture; it's any indigenous culture. So I've been exposed lately. Of course, I come from India as well, and I'm deeply rooted in that culture. And I have also, over time, studied a lot on the indigenous practices and Ayurveda, and all the things. It's all about the elements. Um, but it's very interesting that it's not Indian. It's across the world. We were very connected as human beings. We were extremely connected to nature's cycles. So even in India, the whole farming methodology is based on biodynamics. So the traditional farming methodology is a lot of focus is on the lunar cycle, on the planetary positions, etc., 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 and numerous other kind of spirits. It's not just the astronomy, but also the spirit world that it gets focused on. But what is very interesting is that when I've moved across the world and I've had the privilege of being in numerous indigenous, you're talking about the Amazon. We are doing a big project in Guatemala right now, and it's an amazing. The Mayan civilization is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And it's very similar again. The nature's medicines and the way they do it. In fact, last week or something, I had a conversation with a practitioner of the same kind of system. It's so interesting. The first thing she asked me, birth date, birth time, place of birth, things we ask, like to connect and to see where we come from. And, there's a reality. So it's beautiful for me to see. And again, my wife and I, we've spent a lot of time in the Polynesian area, so in the Maori culture, and, that whole Aboriginal culture, Maori culture, and the Polynesian culture is super rich, and it's again all about the connection with the planet. So it's so beautiful to see that, and it's also disheartening to see the disconnect, right? We go to healing through symptoms rather than the real healing, which is interesting to see. I'm going to take a left turn though right now to you, Shubh. You talked about people meeting, becoming best friends. Do you also act as cupids? Are you seeing a lot of people come together because of cleaning drives that are happening? Does that happen too? Because again, it's a place for like-minded people.
Yes, for sure. So again, I think that has occurred. I won't eliminate that possibility. But again, as we come together as a community, we keep meeting. It's not just cleanups after a point. We go out. We have partying as well together. And I think one thing leads to the other. And probably that is something that has happened in the team, and that is something that is not something that we're against, because again, it's a community based thing. It's not a corporate, and we are okay with that. So yeah, that is how it is.
Even if you were against, it would happen. So it doesn't matter. You might as well be in favor. Maybe another venture can be a site for people to kind of meet up. It could be your own changes us connection site. But I want to. You guys mentioned some mind-boggling figures actually as you were speaking, and you probably don't realize it because you do this every day. But for me, it was crazy because in my notes I have 14,000 volunteers. You guys just said 25,000 or something
Yes,
like that. And
yes,
in my notes, I have 375 tons. That's a lot of material to clear, even in whatever time, 3, 4 years. Each ton is 1,000 kgs. So you're
yes.
talking about
That's gone
375,000
up to
kgs.
that's gone up to
Yeah, that's
450.
probably gone up. Exactly. And then you mentioned like 80 team members.
Yes.
If about 20, 21, 22 year olds, that those are crazy figures. Each of you tell me a little more about this journey of this many volunteers coming together, x amount of tons, whatever it is now, and this team. How does this whole thing work? So tell us more intricacies on how your whole cleanup drive works. How do people come together, and then how do you manage this? How does this work?
So I'd like to take that question. So how I'll just go over the statistics once. It has been 171 weeks of active beach cleanups, and that's nearly 195 weeks of active field work. That includes our donation drives and stuff of that sort. Then we've done around 25,000 volunteers and 450 tons of waste. To equate it in a layman language, it is nearly three large blue whales worth of waste that we've taken out of the beach, or diverted it from the ocean front. And coming to our different activities, we've also done a bunch of food donation drives to pick up and support our society around. And that for that, I think during the second COVID wave, we had done around 40,000 freshly cooked meals that were given out over
Wow,
140.
that's amazing. 40,000 meals. That's a lot. Go ahead.
That's over 140 food drives and across Mumbai. So from the lower tip to say north, and I think that's where we distributed around 40,000 fresh meals. So that is something that we've done. Again, that was during COVID. We couldn't clean beaches, so we thought we'd rather do something for the society in the middle. So yeah, that is one. Coming to the organizational structure, again, we've put in a lot of thought towards this. Again, because it's not paid, none of all our volunteers are, doing this as a you know volunteer on a voluntary basis out of their own free will and goodwill. So what we have tried to do is, again, Akshat and I have both have been part of a lot of college committees and college groups wherein there is a hierarchy, a set structure which functions well. So we tried to make an amalgamation of a corporate, like a startup, and a college committee, and we came up with like a blend, and that's how we created this entire hierarchy. So we have our co-founders, then we have a president and a vice president, then we have directors who are handling a bunch of, oh, so one of them is handling operations, one of them is handling communications, one of them is handling social media. And then within the department, under the directors, we have a total of 12 departments, which ranges from an HR and an admin, goes to tech, goes to having an outreach team, doing a marketing, putting it out there, and then social media coming in, and then we have a digital creatives team which makes our posts and all, and then we have a mass media team which makes our reels and content and all of that. So again, it's like a mix of all the best of both worlds, and we come up with a very unique structure, I think, which is working out really well for us as a team. And managing 80 people, again, keeping a team morale high is one of the challenges which we usually face, since it's the incentives here are not monetary, so it becomes a challenge of sorts. But again, we do that by creating a family of sorts. We try giving them, we try promoting, each other. For so if there is an internship opening up, we help them grab an internship which they want. If there is something like a course or a, like an online learning that they want to pursue, we try and help them. We probably fund it for them, and we try and get them together. We have a bunch of these activities going on. We keep our general body meetings are usually fun and play. So we have football going on. We book a turf. We go out, partying sometimes. It's all fun and games when it's not work. And then when it's work, all of them
Happens
from an
shortly.
age range of say 14 to 24. That's a very broad range that I'm giving you. We have 80 members from 14 to 24, and all of them work during the evening. So our team is not during the day. We call it the nocturnal team because we work from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And that's where we, try to make the most of our time. We put in our, energies. We put our resources together, brainstorm what we can do next and what we could do best, and then that's how we run the team uh, as a very independent, self-running and voluntary team. That's what we would like to call our team.
Amazing. Akshat, do you want to
So
add more?
yeah, so I would like to add is that we ourselves have learned a lot from our team members. So it's like a journey. Like each and every person uh, contributes to each and every person's growth, and they have contributed to our growth a lot. Like what we were before we started this initiative and before we started the team, there has been a vast difference to what we are now. Like we can Yeah, and another thing that I would like to add is that during the COVID wave, when like cleanups were shut, that was the time when we came up with our first team of 13 people, and with them we did two online events. One was Art for Earth and one was Ink for Earth. And post that, the idea of creating an entire hierarchy and an entire white team was actually proposed by one of our team members, and she was very persistent. Her name is Manasvi Shah. She was very persistent that we create a proper team, a proper structure, because she was like, if you want to take this forward, you need to have a proper team. You need to have a bigger team who's managing everything for you. Okay, so kudos to her. I feel creating the team and creating the structure was the best decisions of our life,
Amen.
and we've
Yeah.
and we've seen the difference, like what we were
Yeah.
before creating the structure and what we are now. So yeah.
And I think that is
Amazing.
again to we talk about sustainability of our actions, but sustainability of an organization which is leading to so much impact needs to be taken care of. And from a
Yeah.
small cross-functional team of 13, today we stand at an 80-member team, all divided across verticals. That adds a lot of depth to the team because we have expertise and in each domain, and then we also get a lot of perspective from all sides. Still we can scale. Like that's how we
Yeah.
are thinking of it, and it's becoming
It's
more
amazing.
sustainable. That
Yeah,
And
is
another thing is
you
that
clearly don't talk like a bunch of 22 year olds. Go ahead,
uh,
Akshat. You were saying something.
another thing is that there are a set of people assigned for a particular task, and not everyone is doing the same task. So the task efficiency also increases, and yeah, overall it's good for the initiative as well.
Yeah. One of the things I've run businesses for more than your age, so 25 years at least. And one of the things I'm deeply influenced is from my wife's background. So I'm a pagan. I don't come from an organized religion kind of thing. Like you guys in some way, I'm a tree hugger, river worshipper. But my wife comes from an organized religion, and it's amazing for me to see because, like you guys were mentioning, it's all voluntary. And because nobody is forcing you, and they in their religion they don't even have a real hierarchy. Like you can be at X position, and then next day you could be at Y position, which could be much smaller in terms of responsibility, but it doesn't matter. People do it because they are passionate about what they are doing. And it's been a real exposure for me that, how do you run an organization with the voluntary spirit? Even when we are running an organization, if you just have command and control, or you're doing it because you get salary at the end of the month, it's not the same passion. So that's what you're mentioning. But one of the things from my personal perspective I would love to learn is that, what if people don't deliver? If they don't deliver, you don't have any real control over that. And then what happens? How do you Does that happen, number one? And then if somebody is consistently not delivering, of course we can all go wrong sometimes. We have our own pressure, something may come up, and I'm sure that's fine. But what happens if there is a responsibility that somebody is taken as a volunteer, that yes, I'm going to tackle this, and they're consistently not delivering? Then how do you it's a sticky situation. How do you deal with that?
So in this, the primary thing what we do, see, we so before that we completely understand that since they are like school and college going kids, we completely get it. Like they have studies, they have exams to deal with, and apart from that, they have their own personal life that they have to go through, and so what we do is we talk to them like if they like on a, what do you say, we talk to as many people as we can, getting an update on what on their life, like what is going on in their life, if they're
Yeah.
comfortable sharing with us, if they have certain problems of sorts. And if we can, if Shubh or I can, or if Shubh or I or any of the team members, they can go into and they can help sort that problem out for them, like help them out with the problem, is the first thing that we do.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the team is connected so well that if suppose a task is given to X person, and if the X person is not able to do it for certain reasons, then Y or Z person will take it up. Okay, like X person has to just
Wow,
put
that's
it on,
amazing.
yeah, has to just put it on, put on the group that, hey, I'm occupied with this work, I won't be able to do it. So it may, so
Stunning.
someone else will take up the work from voluntarily, or else it will be assigned to someone
Yeah.
else. That is
You
that
have
is
to
why we
you have
got
to
the,
do a management lesson session for us sometime
So
because this is
again,
beautiful, right? It's an
I'll tell you
automatic self-managed.
where we
Yeah, go ahead.
derived that from, Ved. Where we derived that from. So, like, we come from families that always run family businesses, right? So I'm a Gujarati, he's a Marwadi. So our families are ingrained with family business, and that's what really happens in family businesses,
Just
right?
to add, those are business communities from India that
Yes.
Shubh just
Yes.
mentioned.
So usually, what happens is family businesses run in a very, very unique way. Again, picking up slack for someone who's not doing the work correctly, or teaching, training, being more empathetic, understanding their problem, and trying to step in and help them. That's one thing. The third thing that comes up in these cases is, although we might, we are a family and we are very, tied up together. But again, when it comes to work, we are like umpteenly professional, like
yes,
very professional in terms of getting the work done on time, because that's what keeps the organization running. It's like the blood, and that's what keeps us running. And if we stop a certain, we put a dam on a certain blood flow, then your brain's not going to get the energy, or your heart's not going to get the energy, or blood. So that's where we come from. Like, again, professionalism and family values is what binds us together, gets the work, you know sustainably running. And we also focus a lot on trying to build those connections early on. So a lot of times, people are continuing for a bunch of tenures, and there are a lot of new people coming in, because a tenure ends and some people have to leave. They are going abroad to study, or probably they're moving out for a job. Then a bunch of new people come in. And that's where we have these sessions where they meet personally. We have bonding sessions. They go out, they chill, they have fun. And that's where the real connection is built. And once those connections are built, it's very easy to get people on the same page.
Wow.
another
There,
thing.
you've added another set of complexity, and I want to get into the real meat and potato of this conversation. We haven't even reached there yet. So, but you're right. There's another layer of complexity that these people at this age are not coming in for long term. So they may be coming in and out, and you constantly have that churn happening. So kudos to you guys to be able to do that. And Akshat, I know that you want to come in. I'll
Yeah,
let you come in
let's
because I
just
want to
last
I
for
want to
that.
pivot to
Yeah.
the next section. So go ahead.
Yeah, so one more thing what we do is that we keep reviews as well, from time to time. So where each, like, Shubh and I and the core team, we sit together and we review each and every department, each and every person. Okay, and then we see that what is working, what is not working, what we can do to make things better, and things like that. And what Shubh and I believe is that we like being supportive, being empathetic towards the team, backing them, is something that is really important for any leader, like for a CEO or manager or anyone. Like, he has to back his team, and this is what we
Yeah, so
are. Yeah,
the communication that we put out is that it's not you versus me, it's you
yeah,
and me together
yeah.
fighting a particular problem. It's us against the problem and not the other way around. So we don't want to create problems for people. We're trying to facilitate the work that is happening. And with reviews, we allow shuffling departments, we allow moving up and down the hierarchy, so they get to do what they want to learn, they get to do what they want to develop an expertise on. So overall, it's their growth, our growth, and it's a collective
Superb.
collaborative.
Like amazing that you guys have managed to put in the structure, and kudos to Manasi to push you guys to do that. But okay, let's move to the real kind of focus that I wanted to talk more and more about, because you are getting so exposed to trash. So tell me, for both of you, what is it that you find most when you are digging through trash, and what has shocked you that when you came into this you didn't expect to find certain things. I'm sure certain things you knew you're going to find: plastic bags, etc., etc. So, what has been the most shocking for you individually, and what are the things that are most commonly kind of found for? Yeah, I'm sure those will be more common, but go ahead. Anyone who wants to
So,
start,
so
go
for
ahead.
me, the most shocking thing was finding uh, like a dead snake or a dead tortoise or even a dog skin. So these three things we actually found at the beach while doing the cleanup, and like these three were the most shocking for me at least. And apart from that, another thing which disheartens me a lot personally is finding the Indian flag, the Indian tricolor. Okay. Then what is it? Religious texts, religious idols, like idols of Ganpati Bappa, or Jain. What is it? Jain. Jain gods and goddesses in
Yeah.
general. So it's very disheartening to find all these things at the beach. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, coming to me, so initially I'm more of the resilient build. I don't usually get so stunned by what happens around. But the first time actually around like 2019 is when we found, pants and clothes and saris and bags and all of that. And that was something which actually, triggered me, saying that, uh, like, if your clothes are going down the drains, or they've been put into the oceans, then something's going wrong. So yeah, that is something that actually you know turned me off a little bit. But I think apart from that, we found any and everything. So we found from diapers to condoms to every single thing between that. You can just dream of those things, and we found those things. And
So you
again,
mentioned diapers, but is there more medical waste as well?
yeah, so during COVID, we found a lot of masks and a lot of gloves and a lot of syringes that were coming. And again, syringes shouldn't be put there because it's biomedical waste, but it was still coming there. And we again took our precautions to have our own sustainable masks and a bunch of other things to make sure that we were wearing cloth masks and having our own set of reusable gloves to pick those things up and put the waste properly, and we didn't expose younger children to it. So I think that is something that we've done very consciously at the beach. That if there's something that is not very appealing to the eye or something of that sort, we try putting the younger children away so that it's easier for us to handle it as adults.
On one particular cleanup, I like we had found approximately 13 jellyfish, and out of that 12 were dead. So that was another
Shocking
shocking
find.
thing, that yeah, shocking thing for us.
Are most of these, like you mentioned, various creatures, and is there a influence of the kind of waste that is there also on them, or it's just by the way that there are dead animals there? Do you think there's a impact of the trash on them being dead?
So I
I
think it's two
believe we
things.
Yeah.
It's two things.
Sure.
One is the fisherman bycatch. So the lot of fishermen, put their like boats on the coast, right? And they anchor it, and whatever catch they bring, some of it, of course, falls off, or some of it is not so economically, helpful for them to carry across the city to sell. So a lot of it is dropped there itself. So that is probably the fisherman bycatch, number one. And the second is, of course, the pollution in the water, or the fish. The fish are actually not meant for the coast. They are meant for something farther inside, further inside the water. But at least jellyfish, etc. And they keep getting pulled towards the coast, and then that's where they are. I think that's where
it's
they end up.
also it's also because of effects of climate change as well.
True.
Like the oceans are, like the waters are becoming much warmer than what they ideally should be. And maybe because of that, the marine diversity is being pushed towards coming towards the coasts. So yeah, so like clubbing all these three reasons, I feel it's because of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it gives you a lot of ideas about how we live in a way. Like Shubh, you mentioned clothes and things like that get trashed, and a lot of our clothes today have microfibers and plastic based material. I think most of our clothes do. So I'm sure that is impacting the oceans as well. So tell me more about where the collection goes ultimately. And I know Akshat, right in the beginning, you were talking about this. So you are collecting and then you're taking it somewhere, but of course you don't want it to go back to the ocean, right? So what happens to that trash? And even if it ends up in the landfill or land dump, that's not good either, right? So is there something that happens beyond that? Have you guys been able to touch that part of the cycle as well?
Yes, so currently, whatever waste that we are collecting is sadly going to the landfill. Like we have tried to like contact a bunch of what they say, bunch of recyclers across the city, like who can take our waste and who can put through the entire process and recycle the waste. But the problem that we found was that majority of the recyclers, they are in the suburban area of the city, and since we are in the south of the city, it becomes too costly for them to arrange the entire transport, because the waste that we generate may not be economical for them. So that is one issue that we are tackling,
Yeah.
but we are looking, we are looking into it, of ways of finding aggregators who can take at least the smallest amount of waste which is getting generated. And
So
another thing that we are actively working towards is promoting, what they say, motivating and promoting this segregation of waste, like segregation at the source itself. So we've been creating content around it. We've been giving talks in schools and colleges on awareness of waste segregation and why is it important, so that the waste can get eliminated at the source itself, and it goes to the correct places. Yeah.
So yeah, as there is a disparity in the MVQ and the logistical costs that the people incur. So minimal viable quantity is not equating to the logistic costs that they put in. So again, there have been a bunch of talks of the authorities with a bunch of other people, and we are in touch with the authorities, trying to ask them, are we coming with a recycler in this side of town and all of that. So we're trying to put whatever little pressure that we can put on them to make sure those things are happening. And apart from that, again, as Akshat rightly mentioned, our reach out, our outreach in terms of numbers has gone up manifold when it comes to webinars and seminars, because we want to reach out to all possible colleges and schools in Mumbai at least, because that's where we can physically show up. And we're trying, so we have an entire team which is a youth advocacy team which goes out to different schools and colleges, sets up webinars and seminars for them, and then presents the material to them, and then that's how we're trying to put out the word on a very large scale.
Yeah, and also, of course, in India, we have an informal economy of rag pickers, and of course, they end up doing a lot of the cleaning. But what I've in numerous conversations that I've had, and of course, the exposure that I've gotten, I've found that ultimately it's economic value in a product, right? So maybe the that plastic bottle would get picked up more easily, and maybe a thicker single layer kind of plastic gets picked up more easily. What is your experience with the kind of trash you get? And when you say the majority, is there lesser of those? The plastic bottles and the single use, which is easy to recycle, and if somebody collects it, they'll get some economic value. Is that something that you see very often, that there is more, multi-layered plastic like potato chip bags and shampoo sachets and stuff that maybe doesn't have that much economic value? What is the trend that you guys see there?
So majority of the stuff that we find is multi-layered, things that can't be recycled, or things like this selling value is less. But but we find a lot of milk packets as well. And as you know, like milk packets are like 100% recyclable. So that holds a lot of value. And apart from that, I mean, plastic bottles are there, but they are not a lot, at least on the wet part of the beach that we primarily clean. And so yeah, majority of the stuff is multi-layered, which doesn't hold a lot of value. Plastic
So,
bottles are less, and milk packets are a lot.
just to get to what Akshat is saying, the plastic bottles get picked the first because they're the easiest to pick up, easiest to wash, clean, and sell, right? And washing cleaning becomes one of the major aspects in something like a recycling because recyclers don't want to buy dirty waste. They want to buy clean, dry plastic, so it's easy for them to process and their supply chain time reduces so that they can quickly get the processes done. So that is one thing that goes the most. And second, economically talking, the place which we clean, the strip which we clean usually at the Chopati beach, is one which is of soft sand. So it's wet sand, it's not dry sand. And when the high tide comes in, it covers that part. And when the low tide comes in, the land which is left behind, that's where we usually clean, and that's where we find the plastic. And not a lot of people are putting in that effort, not even the contractors, not even rack pickers want to put in that effort to dig that thing out and primarily put it out and put it in the right places. So I think that's where we come in, that's where we pull it out, and that's where we try to put it for the right things. Of course, there's a long way for us to go in terms of, say, getting it cleaned, dried, and figuring out a recycling unit in this side of town and matching the economics for them to be able to take things forward. But yeah, overall, largely it's majorly all kinds of plastic, and bottles are less. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would have imagined. So I'm glad to get more. You guys are out there, so it's good to get your view on it. In terms of, I know you mentioned this. One of you mentioned this on the COVID side, distributing meals. I think Shubh, it was you. And this is beautiful for me to hear that you guys don't only just work, limit yourself, and I'm totally in awe of what you guys are doing, especially considering the age and the priorities. And it gives me enormous hope looking at the kind of attitude and thought process that you guys have in terms of you don't just limit yourself to cleanups. You are, of course, you talked about meals. I know from reading that you guys work on social change, and I guess that sort of maybe is closely connected to the idea Akshat was mentioning. If you don't segregate at the source, then it's a challenge, and you have to ultimately solve the challenge at the source, that it doesn't go in, because obviously cleanups can only do that much, and it's certain amount of sustainability if you want to bring them that. And not only that, I heard that you also work with old age homes. So throw a little more light on why these parallel activities. You could just focus on beach cleanup and call it good, but you guys are going ahead and also contributing more and more in various aspects. So yeah, Shubh, I know you want to go first, so
So
go ahead and tell us
yeah,
more
so
about that.
how we define changes us is an initiative that does social, environmental awareness and grassroots level change. And again, we kept that, cautiously using the words correctly because we want to keep it a little more broad ended, trying to encompass a larger part of society, not just one vertical of the society. Now, coming to why we do this, that's a bigger question that we ask ourselves every time, and we get the right calling every single time. So we have the right intention of why we want to do this. First is the fact that we started the donation drives just because we wanted to do something for the society, and there were a lot of migrant laborers that were stuck during the second COVID wave in Mumbai. So they had gone back to the village. Then during before the second wave, they came back, and then they didn't get to go back because there were these police whatever authorities had locked down everything. So they were not allowed to go back, and all of them were living on street sides. People were not in the best conditions at that particular point in time. I think that's where a bunch of our friends and a bunch of other organizations came together under an umbrella called the Mumbai Food Run. And that's where we did the entire drive of giving the food out. Coming to old age homes and orphanage houses that we go once a month, that is exclusively for the team. From the 80 members, we take them because we call them empathy drives. We want to increase the empathy within the team so that they're more well connected, more bound together, and more, uh, they're more giving in nature. We want to inculcate that ability in them to be able to give back to the society. Because I'm pretty sure whoever's in our team are very privileged. They're, studying in one of the best institutions of the country, and they're learning different things. They have a lot of exposure. They're going to do great things going ahead, because we have alumni who are studying in LSE right now. We have alumni who are working in Morgan Stanley right now. So all of those things give us validation that a team going ahead is going to do greater things. And for each one to learn that they need to give back to society is what we want to drive. And that is why these empathy driven drives is something that we do. Plus,
Another. Okay, sorry,
another
sorry.
tangent again, I would like to just add this one point, is the fact that on social media, once we put these things out, a lot more people want to do this. They themselves go out. They have birthdays or anniversaries coming up. They call us up and, like, can you set us up with an orphanage or an old age home, because we want to do a drive with them, and we want to do a bunch of activities with them. So again, it's like a win-win for everything, and we're trying to put out the word as much as we can. Akshat.
Another point is that to make our team members realize that their problems are much smaller than the problems that are there, that other people are facing. Okay, and it's just how you deal with it, and like they get that perspective, right? Like there are
What's out there,
many,
and
yeah, yeah.
what can we do to facilitate things to occur well in the society. So it's not just growing one tangent or vertical for getting environmental awareness in. It's more about getting it as a society as a whole, because we never know what helps what comes in handy. And again, all of these things together just make it a very wholesome experience for any team member who is a part of our team.
Yeah, and it's all connected. And I'm going to curve towards slowly taking you towards closure, because I know we are kind of running over 1 hour
Yes.
15 minutes now. So there's a lot that I want to learn from you. But one thing which we sort of alluded to in the beginning and but did not address. So and I'm going to club it with another aspect, is the name changes us. It's so beautiful. How did you guys come about that? And then you guys mentioned when you were talking about the structure, that it's about the future. The organization must go on even if we are not there, in its succession and things like that. So my question to you is, of course, changes us. How did that happen? And the second aspect, that how are you building the organization? What is the future that you see, whether you are there or not there? What is your vision? What would be the, what would make you really happy in 20 years later? How do you see changes us? Akshat, go ahead. You can start.
Shub can actually take the naming thing, the
Sure,
changes us.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, change is us. Again, there are a bunch of things which went on in my mind before actually naming it that. And again, there were a bunch of things. First is the three-word rule. That's the one that hits the most and stays the most in your head. So, if you say redefine, refine, re energize or whatever, if you use three words, it sticks in your mind the most. So, that's one marketing psychology thing that came into my mind when I was naming it that way. But the other thing that is change is us is the fact that I want to, the name has to be, the name is very important, and it actually shows what we are and what we want to do. And we didn't limit ourselves to calling it something related to the green or something related to the environment, because we knew that it's going to be a larger mass level, societal level change that we're trying to bring. And that is why change was the theme that we were thinking about since the start, and it has been a very consistent theme all in all. So I think change is us, the fact that we are the change, we bring the change, and we have to be it. We manifest. It's not just manifesting it, we are being it. And that is why change is us. So the verb is actually plays a huge part in that, and that is why the name. And it's a lot of thought has gone into that, and of course into our logo as well. If you notice our logo closely, we've tried to put the place where we clean, the beach which we clean, as a background. If you get the time to, please go over it. And again, there's an arrow, there's a U-turn that we want to bring. And that arrow is red in color, that we need to take a U-turn from all our bad habits. So that is what we're trying to put out. And we've put in a lot of thought in this. And that's how we've done our naming and forming the logo. Over to Akshat.
Yes, and also one more thing is that the colors also have been chosen keeping into keeping taking into mind the elements of nature. So green is for yeah. So blue is for water, green is for the trees, and
Life on
red is
land,
for yeah fire. So
and red is for the fire. Yes, so the three colors have been chosen wisely. That that is how we've done that. And again, now let's come to the vision part of it, as you rightly mentioned. Uh, Having a sustainable outlook towards what we want to do, uh, not just in terms of awareness. Again, awareness will be a very important vertical of what we do, because moving forward, we want to reduce the amount of waste that comes to the beach, not increase it. So awareness will become one of our major plays, and for that we're looking into the future. So we've developed a newsletter which we send out every month for free of cost for all people. Whoever want to subscribe can go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter. We come up with the most relevant things, very Gen Z, very relevant content is being put out there. That is one very important aspect. The second aspect is, of course, going to schools and colleges for webinars and seminars. The third aspect would be coming up with innovative events, not just cleanups, but innovative events that add a lot of depth add a lot of value to young people. So maybe like a conference, maybe like a marathon, which actually brings a lot of people together, mobilizes people together. That is something that we're keen towards. And on a personal level, Akshat and I both are very, very inclined towards climate tech, because both of us are engineers and both of us are like comp science graduates, and we've done data analytics. He's currently pursuing his master's in information systems. So that allows us to use data very well and use the technology very well to probably help the climate on a larger scale.
So,
So I think
so I'm
that's
so
what.
so I'm so I'm inclined towards learning GIS as well, because GIS has a lot of applications in the field of environment.
True.
So like 10 years down the line, if you like, as you asked that, where do you see changes as 20 years down the line? So 20 years down the line, we have this idea of registering changes as a proper foundation or a organization, and not just limiting ourselves to climate, but like expanding to other areas as well. Like we both of us want to work towards adopting a village, and what
True.
we say, redevelopment of a village, or helping the people in slums. So this is what we have for the society as a whole. And apart from that, on our personal levels, what we want to do is we want to start a climate solution oriented company, where we are working on a problem which is there in front of us, whether it be providing services or whether it be coming up with a new product. But our main goal is to focus on climate, on reducing the effects of climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's beautiful. Yeah, go ahead.
so that is what we've kept for 20 years, and
Yeah, and
we
of course we're
are
still
we
doing
are
cleanups 20 years later. We're still mobilizing people on a large
Well,
scale.
hopefully, you guys can go to a place where there is no cleanup needed.
yeah.
That's the
I guess
ideal
that would
goal.
be interesting.
That's the ideal
That's the
goal.
ideal
And
goal.
another thing, what you rightly said about the team. So as you know that I'm pursuing a masters, and Shubh is there in India. So there might come a stage where both of us might have to be away from our home country for a considerable amount of time. So what we are focusing on is making the team self-reliant, and in a way looking towards people who can take the charge of the team. Like when we are away, they step up and they take charge of the team.
So it sounds a lot like a family business because we are legacy planning from now. But
Yeah,
uh,
but
again,
but the thing is that we don't want changes us to go dormant, or
true,
to
true.
die
It
down,
has to be
because
active.
yeah b- uh, because we believe that impact has to be made. It has to be consistent, and for any change to happen in the society or in the world, it has to be anything has to be consistent. And when we started changes us, we thought with a long term thing, like we want to keep this going for a longer period of time and not for a short period of time. We both of us had the similar views.
Yeah,
So
just trying to get a callback of what Akshat said. Any great revolution which needs to go on has three parts to it, in our opinion. One is intention, the second is action, and the third is impact.
yeah.
And the intention is set right, the action is consistent, and we keep doing that. And the impact is what we derive, and we take feedback from it, and we go back to action again. So then there's an iterative loop there, and we keep going.
Superb. Great to hear you guys actually thinking from various angles, and of course, continuity being a big part of it, and impact being a huge part of it. I think that's what you're working out, and it's so beautiful to see that. Of course, you guys are deeply immersed, and this is my last question. So, you guys are so deeply immersed in the domain of trash and trying to clean it up. I would love to hear your perspective on what, for each of you, what does good garbage mean?
So
So
would you like
Akshat,
to go first?
I'd go. So
Okay. Yeah.
good garbage is for me uh, a very well put word, because grammatically it is an alliteration, first of all. Second of all, good garbage is understanding where the garbage is coming from, what we're doing with it, and where it is going to go, right? That's on the garbage front of it. Now, coming to us, what we buy, how we consume it, and how we dispose it. That's a personal thing. So it is going to be a two-way process, right? Of where the garbage is coming from, what we do, and where it is going to go. And good garbage as a word, what comes in my mind first is the fact that we are treating garbage well. Everything deserves to be treated well. All the people around us, all animals, all ecosystems, all environmental, elements need to be treated well, and so does our garbage. So bringing it from the right sources, utilizing the right materials, the right items, and avoiding things that can be avoided, which are harmful for the environment, and then eventually taking that garbage, putting it to the right places, segregating it, doing the processes that are there to be done, and then putting it finally into the right last place where it can become a chair or a bench, where people can sit on a recycled chair or a recycled bench, and that's ultimately good garbage for me. Now, I know it is a little vague, a little out of place, but again, it's like source and the end point. And if it's not linear and if it's circular, I think that's something that would work out the best for us.
So when I hear the word good garbage, what comes to my mind is uh, the how sustainable that product is when it's in making, when it's in use, and essentially after it's used, like in the disposal stage. What I believe is that 100% sustainability is it cannot be achieved, because everything that we create and we use has certain impact on the planet. So reducing as much as we can the impact of the product, of the thing is something that we all should move towards too. And essentially for me, like the footprint of the product used should be relatively less, should be as low as possible. And as Shubh rightly said, that circular economy is the way forward. So what you put should enter back into the cycle. And another thing which rings to my mind is the product being as sustainable as possible. So make like the product being made out of, say, paper, or say or recycled paper, or say bagasse, or say molasses, or say cane sugar, something like that. So using byproducts essentially to create products, and recycling them again and again, so that new products or similar products can be created from the same thing, is what seems to me as good garbage. Yeah.
That's comprehensively put. Thank you guys so much. This has been a very hopeful conversation for me. It's beautiful to see youngsters like you being so motivated and focused in many, many ways, not just about doing something that you're passionate about, but creating an organization around it, creating a movement around it. Not just doing that, but also adding on numerous aspects and really understanding what needs to be done. So I'm just filled with hope from this conversation, and it just gives me joy that you're thinking like that, and not just thinking, like you said right in the beginning, acting. That's really important. And thank you for taking the time. I know that I didn't even realize, Akshat, that you are in a time zone which is really crazy. You are at 4 a.m. or something now. But thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for the amazing work that you guys are doing. I just wish more and more power for you. I hope this word can spread and you can get more and more people to join this whole movement. And of course, from my perspective, create more and more change so that you don't have to do a beach cleanup. There is nothing to clean up. It's all, hopefully, by the, if not my life, but end of your lives, you can achieve that. Thank you so much for being on this show and for sparing this time.
Thank you so much, Ved.
Thank you so much for inviting us and letting us share our stories.